Margaret Kemuma. I work at Kituo cha Sheria in the Forced Migration Department. I still remember my first time going to the Dadaab refugee camp, which was over 10 years ago. I was excited, full of belief in what the law could do. I was going there thinking I would help solve refugee problems using the law. I had the Refugees Act, the Constitution, and all the legal principles at my fingertips. I believed that if people knew their rights and if those rights were properly defended, then justice would follow. My work was to create awareness among refugees about their rights and duties. I represented refugees at police stations when they were arrested. I represented them in court when they were faced with deportation. Much of my work was about standing between a refugee and a system that was new to them, and sometimes very harsh. In those early days, I thought the law would answer most questions. Then reality hit me. I would speak with refugees about their rights to basic needs and about protection, about dignity, about non-refoulement. And then they would ask the questions that totally changed my perception on law versus practice. They would ask questions like, if the law protects us, why are we living in shelters that are falling apart? Why is water and food rationed? Why don't we have documentation? Why are we still harassed and arrested? Because of identification problems? Why is medical care so limited? Why can't our children access education? Many times, I did not have an answer that felt honest enough. I had the legal answer. I could explain the Constitution and refer to international law. But I could also see that what the law promised and what people were living were often two very different things. That was the moment my understanding of advocacy began to change. I started to realize that legal awareness matters and rights are important. But if a person cannot enjoy rights in practice, then that gap becomes its own kind of injustice. Working with refugees forced me to confront that gap because it was there in the police stations, in courtrooms, in conversation with service providers and policymakers. The gap was also there every time a refugee asked a simple question that had no simple answer. If the law recognizes my humanity, why does the system make it so hard for us? That is why solidarity with refugees for me is no longer an abstract idea. Solidarity means listening when refugees tell us where the system is failing them, being honest about the distance between legal protection and lived reality. It means accepting that refugees have insight, courage, leadership, and a clear understanding of what dignity requires. Over time, things have changed. Kenya now has a new Refugees Act. There are wider conversations about rights and self-reliance. These changes matter because they show that change is possible. But refugees have also taught me to ask a harder question. What does change really mean in practice? Does it mean a refugee can get documentation without difficulty or move without fear of arrest or harassment? Does it mean they can access affordable healthcare? Does it mean they can work, open a business, and support their families? Standing in solidarity with refugees means pushing for implementation of these rights, having conversations with Kenyans, the police, policymakers, lawmakers, and everyone. It means working together with refugees and recognizing that they must shape the solutions that affect their lives. When I think back to the person who first traveled to Dadaab, I think of someone who believed deeply in the law. I still do. Now I believe something more. Rights matter the most when they can be lived. Advocacy matters the most when it is shaped by the people who live the reality every day. We must continue to work with refugees, to listen to them and to stand with them, because until everyone is safe, our work is not finished.